You know, whenever we talk about AI, the conversation that we often have is, oh my goodness, am I going to lose my job?
It's a valid threat. So many jobs that the rule of thumb is if it's done on a computer and it's predictable and you have a very predictable set of steps that you carry out, that can easily be automated and that job is in the line of fire.
If you are 20 years old today, with all the knowledge you have of the world that is coming, what skills would you study?
They sneaked in drones on the roofs of trucks. They went into Russia and they were remotely controlled from Ukraine, and they took out around 30% of the Russian long-range air missiles.
It's almost autonomous because it's using that AI.
It is.
It does not need the radio operators of yesteryear.
Exactly. Is it okay for us to leave the killing of humans to be decisions made by machines?
This is the very, very best. I introduce the very, very next big deal. You know this is the big league. Sanga mumihanda ya chigari mega big fish. Word on the street to Akagera. Habari gani mumeze mte. Yute shimi mana kuva honda muchiye. If you want the long form, come close and rabure. Wait, what?
The long form.
What did he say?
The long form.
What?
The long form.
The long form. This conversation is brought to you by Akagera Medicines, a biotech company that is majority owned by the Rwandan people. Akagera Medicines is not only committed to expanding access to healthcare, but also supporting conversations that inform, educate, and empower. Learn more about Akagera Medicines by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting their website at akageramedicines.com. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we work, learn, run businesses, and access healthcare. Some people believe that AI will create extraordinary opportunities. Others believe, on the other hand, that it will eliminate jobs and reshape society. So what should ordinary Africans actually believe? Should we be excited or worried? My guest this week on the Long Form podcast is Carl Mabuka, an AI strategist and head of business and AI at Global Kwik Koders. Carl believes that Africa's future won't be determined simply by who has the best technology, but by who learns to use it first. This conversation is not about understanding AI. It's about understanding what AI means for your future. Carl.
Hey.
Welcome to the Long Form podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's begin with the biggest misconception. Everyone is talking about AI, but very few people can explain why this moment is very different from previous waves of technology. Why the panic? Why the fear? Why the greed? Why all these feelings of, oh my God, the sky is falling?
Yeah.
I mean, what has actually happened over the last 3 years that makes this moment different from, say, the Industrial Revolution?
Yeah.
The internet age.
Yeah.
What's special?
I think it all boils down to how many people will be affected. This is the first time that we have a technology that is gonna have an effect on every other sector that you can think about. When you think about the Industrial Revolution and the invention of the internal combustion engine, that brought a lot of advancements, but primarily it was affecting transport, though that seeped into everything. When you think about the invention of the car, cars led to other kinds of businesses. We never had fuel stations before then. We never had fast food before then. So when you think logistics was not really as good as it was before. And so when you think about the change, the potential change this is going to bring, it's both exciting and terrifying.
Now, obviously AI or artificial intelligence, where we are today, is very different from, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Interesting. I think it's been a build-up of several things. But I think the biggest has been the making it of neural networks. So the whole idea of neural networks was, let us try and replicate how the brain works. But even if we call it neural networks, it doesn't really work anything like the brain, even though that was the founding principle. So being able to have AI connect different things and to do the compute in a way that is not really agnostic to one particular line of thought, that was the game changer. And now in this age, we're doing what you call agentic AI. So you can spin up, agents are like virtual workers. So you can spin up a few to do your bidding. That has really taken this to the next level. When you think about AI and what people normally use, people think of the chat box, of like the chat window. And that is just an entryway into it. When you go really deeper and start going into automations and agentic AI, it's amazing what you can get done.
But walk me through this. Okay. You know, you every so often, I wonder with you scientists who are just coding all the time, and just how much danger you're putting all of us in. Now, the computers always existed. Internet, I think, was invented in the mid 1980s by the US government, the military. Now, I want to understand AI and that what we now assume is just, it has become our new normal. You know, when I want to know something, I no longer go to the library. I don't even go to Google. I go to ChatGPT. Walk me through how we got here.
You have to go back to the creation of the supercomputers. So actually before the 80s, I think it was in the 50s, universities were working with these really huge rooms full of computer equipment. But I think it was safe to say the invention of the iPhone, that people really got that level of power on the palm of their hands. And since then, it hasn't been the same. We've had the invention of the iPhone made sure you have computing in your pocket. Then came apps. So apps were like different spin-offs of people's solutions to everyday problems. And now we actually like to say, if a few years ago you said there's an app for that. Now we say there's an AI for that, just because of how more convenient that is and how much cheaper it is compared to apps.
Let's talk about, when I think about the biggest change in my life, the first one, obviously, for me personally, was 1994, July 4th, Liberation Day, when through the efforts of thousands and tens of thousands of young men and young women, and I was able to suddenly become a person who actually has a country to call their own. That was one big thing. Then the second thing was the internet. So first, the most important thing that ever happened to me was, one, I got identity. Now, number two, it became the internet where I got knowledge and the ability to conversate with the entire world and have the world come to me. Now, with that in mind, where do you put AI in that story of my life?
Interesting. In what sense?
So if on one side, right? So I have identity.
Yes.
July 4th. Then with the internet, I have a way to communicate and get knowledge from the world. Now there's AI. What role does it play on my journey?
Okay. So AI, in full, it's artificial intelligence. It's really a way of mimicking human intelligence, or at least the claim is. And we say the claim is because the intelligence is not in the form that we know. It's not informed as we understand it. So intelligence is, AI has been trained on so much data that it gets this unique ability to be able to predict. And it's so when you think the AI is thinking and understanding, it's really running it through several algorithms to try and determine what the next token or what the next word or what the next number or what the next picture should be.
You said something when we met for the first time. You taught me something. Mm-hmm. So I always thought that when I ask the AI, when I go on chat or use Gemini mm-hmm. and write, I want to know the biggest rock artist of all time.
Yeah.
I thought that, like, the way I would ask you,
yeah,
you then think,
yeah,
hear what I'm saying,
yeah,
and then give me an answer,
yeah,
based off of your knowledge of the subject.
Yeah.
You told me something that almost blew my mind, and that was AI is not actually thinking. Mm-hmm. It's predicting. It's guesswork, but it's guesswork at a very high level.
It's informed guesswork. Yeah, it's informed guesswork. It's been taught on so much data, but you have to understand it has so much data that it needs to narrow down in a particular field. So even when you're thinking about, for instance, the best way of prompting, knowing that it's guessing, you need to narrow it down for it. So you need to start with a role and the sector. Like, I'm looking for an answer within the medical field, so it knows to narrow down.
Stop looking at psychology and music, architecture and all that.
Yeah. And so AI it's an informed guess. It's had that question before, or it's been taught on information that has such an answer. It will sift through and find it, but not in the same way my mind would. Every word that you give, every token builds into, for lack of a better word, I'm going to use understanding, even if it doesn't understand, into an understanding of what the prompt is asking for. I don't know if that... Mm-hmm. And then it sifts through all the information it has and picks its best guess and presents that to you. And a few times it can be wrong, and that's why AI hallucinates every once in a while. It's because it didn't quite understand the question. It's guessing.
Listen, I know just how annoying it is when, just in the middle of a really interesting conversation on YouTube, an ad appears. That frustration is why we've created the Longform Patreon. For just $4 a month, you can enjoy ad-free listening, early access to conversations a full day before they're publicly released, and you're directly supporting the work that we do here. Every episode takes time, research, and sometimes plane tickets. We don't do it for money. We do it because we genuinely believe in sharing stories and conversations that matter. If you want to be part of that journey, you can join the Longform Patreon by scanning the QR code that you can see right now on the screen, or using the link in the description. And if membership is too much of an investment, you can still support us by making a one-time donation via our MTN Momo using the code registered under LF Media 95462. Thank you so much for believing in what we do. Here's a question. What are your secrets worth? And how far will you go to protect them? Every day, tens of thousands of hacked credentials for emails, social media, and other services are bought and sold on the dark web, all without victims suspecting a thing. If you're like me and desire some peace of mind, Threat Informant is for you. Built by ShieldTech Hub, a cybersecurity company, Threat Informant is a dark web monitoring online solution that allows you to search the deep web for hidden markets, detect your leaked data, and react before any damage is done. And here is the best part. It's available for government agencies, businesses, and individuals like myself. It's simple. If your data is out there, Threat Informant will let you know. So take control of your digital safety today and scan the QR code that you can see on your screen, or click the link in the description to sign yourself and your entire organization up. You cannot protect yourself if you don't know you're under threat. Get Threat Informant today. You know, whenever we talk about AI, the conversation that we often have is, oh my goodness, am I going to lose my job?
Ooh.
Are we going to no longer have lawyers? I think it was mid last year. I had a very prominent local lawyer on this podcast, and we spoke about law, and we spoke about what the future might bring. Now, if you've ever been in, I did law in my first degree. So what we do is we spend a lot of time reading the textbooks. And so when we hear, say, a case, we're going through our, article this on this law and coming up with an answer. And now, when I spoke to him, because I hadn't had this level of knowledge that you're giving me, I asked him, now, won't it be a good thing if AI replaces human judges? Because, and this was my logic, judges are human. The law is not, we always say that the law is blind. The law is not blind because the law is created by humans and it's implemented by humans. So I said, what happens if the judge just doesn't like you?
If he's had a bad day.
He's had a bad day.
Yeah.
He fought with his wife.
Yeah.
He owes someone money. He's been bribed. He's been intimidated by someone.
Or he's had an experience that's similar.
Right?
Yeah.
So in my head, I was telling him that I think it might be a good idea for the judicial system here in Rwanda to start thinking about how do we remove human error, the humanity of justice. But what you've told me about how AI comes to conclusions, oh no, I do not want I do not in any circumstance want an AI judge because, as you said, our judges listen, see the humanity in you. Maybe you were young. You're a young man. You did not think this through. And now you've unfortunately committed a crime. AI will not look at you. It will hear the case.
AI won't be empathetic.
It doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And then throw in the fact that it just fundamentally it's guesswork. It's the best guess, but it's guesswork.
Yeah. I think the answer to that ties back to what you asked me before. Like, at what point in your journey would you place this? So AI has provided us a platform where you can delegate a lot of our mental thinking or our mental processing to the machine. So you no longer have to, like for instance, you said you no longer go to Google or because you don't need to remember all that. It's just that ChatGPT will tell you exactly what that is. Tying it back to the lawyer story that you've talked about.
I remembered his name. It was Richard Mugisha of Trust Law Chambers.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, maybe you and Richard might not really want to have an AI judge right now, because the error is not something that we can fully control. The hallucination is real. In fact, it's so real that I was watching a news extract yesterday, and they were talking about the level of people who were wrongfully targeted in Iran to be 3,600.
Wrongfully targeted by who?
Okay, so the US is using AI. It very openly admitted to using Claude AI in some of the strikes in Iran, and it's called Operation Epic Fury, and so they said it had a 10% error rate.
Jesus.
and that in human lives was around 3,600. And so, would you, even if it would, so if you bring that to a judge's position, would you want your judge to be 10% wrong? I don't think so. But it doesn't mean that, okay, as humans, we are flawed. We've already talked about this before. We are flawed. A judge may still be, like, depending on the day and the circumstances, may still give a verdict that may not necessarily be 100% right.
Or even it might not even be based on the law.
Yeah.
He doesn't like you that day.
Yeah. And too bad, that's just not your day. But we are still not comfortable enough to hand that level of power over someone's life, really. Because if you're to go to jail for a number of years, you don't want to base that decision on a machine's logical way of thinking, at least not yet.
So the question of, am I going to lose my job? In terms of the fear of AI, is that the right question that people should be asking themselves, or should they be asking themselves something different?
Fear is a human emotion, and when there is a threat to our lifestyle or to our way to survive, it's only fair to feel, to
It's
go
only
through
human.
It's only human, exactly, to feel it, to go through the emotions of fear. It's a valid threat. When you think about, or already there have been massive layoffs in areas like the US, where a lot of this work was handed over to AIs. Even if now that many companies are starting to reverse that decision. Yes.
Really? Why?
So because AI works really well in a contained environment.
What do you mean by that?
By contained, it's like I can program AI to do one thing really, really well in a particular situation, but it's no guarantee on how it will perform at scale. So when you scale that, you remember, given the error rates and how AI thinks.
So going back to, I was trying to give an example of, say, for example, the US government and how it's been using AI. So I'm sure that whoever was in the Department of War, as it's called, did not want to make mistakes.
Yes.
To kill innocent people.
Yeah.
And probably when he wrote, I guess, the prompt.
Yeah. The prompt, it could be.
Right?
Yeah.
The error rate was maybe 0.0000001% error. But again, now at scale.
Yes.
Now there are 15,000 missile strikes and this.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, that, I guess, what you're talking about, which is the error, then comes in.
Yeah.
Because one thing can work for one thing.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't mean that it could be replicated 15,000 times. Before we continue this conversation, here's a word from my sponsor, CanalBox. CanalBox is here to give you the internet connection you need. Whether you want to enjoy your favorite content at home, run your business, attend online classes, or simply explore the world from the comfort of your home, CanalBox is the solution. With CanalBox, you get fast, reliable, and unlimited fiber internet for your home or business that will keep you connected to the world. Getting connected is simple. Just call 8600 or 0788 917 100. Here's my recommendation. Choose CanalBox today. And now let's get back into the conversation.
Yeah, when you think of especially in a war, there's the kill chain. So like the way you decide who to target and who to attack. There are like those levels, right? So you need to find. So the first level is you need to find. So if I'm fighting someone across the wall, I need to be able to know what's across the wall. So we use like satellites. Now we're using drones as well. Sometimes you use actual soldiers to do some recon. But then after that, you need to be able to fix, which is and AI is doing that really, really well now, being able to identify if that's a tank, or that's a drone, or that's an aircraft. It's doing it really, really well. And it's doing it at speeds that are not human, which is good, because when you're in a war, the difference between gathering and synthesizing information and actually taking action on it gives you the edge over your opponent. And so being able to find, fix, yes, but also being able to target. And I don't know if you know this now, we have drones. They're using them in Ukraine, in the Ukrainian war. I was actually seeing another clip 2 days ago of they sneaked in drones on the roofs of trucks, and they sneaked them through the border. They went into Russia, and they were remotely controlled from Ukraine, and they took out around 30% of the Russian long range aircraft or something like that. And it comes to show you how war is changing. These are drones that even if you blast beams to disconnect them from whoever is controlling, you can have an algorithm within the drone that can identify and accurately take out an enemy vessel.
So it's almost autonomous because it's using that AI.
It is.
It does not need, the radio operators of yesteryear.
Exactly, because those can be jammed. And this has really pushed the envelope into war, and it raises the question of, is that right? Is it okay for us to leave the killing of humans to be decisions made by machines? I was also saying the other day, they connected a turret to like a vehicle.
What's turret?
It's like those long guns, those big guns, and it's out in the field, and it's actually fighting Russian soldiers. It held them at bay for 45 days. If these are the tactics we're taking into war, where do we actually draw the line? And of which, when it's a war, matters of fairness and equality normally don't take center stage. But that's where we are. And this is actually being used in war.
It's super scary, because when you think about even the rules of war, I mean, those are rules of war that I think some of them come from the 1800s. When people would fight with muskets and
Sticks
swords.
and stones.
Yes, and
Yeah.
now you're having. I was looking at something, and it was super scary. There was a video of a drone. It might have been autonomous, I don't know. Now it finds us a Russian soldier in the field, and he can see death is upon him, and he starts to try to plead. I've put my gun down. Okay, can you leave me?
I give up.
Yes. Whereas, as human beings, that was the white flag.
White flag, yeah.
And then what you then do is, based off of the rules of war, he'd become a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
This thing blasted him. Yes.
Wow.
No, it's super scary. But there are a few articles that one of the things with and that's how I got to know you, is that you've been writing about AI and trying to educate Rwandans about AI.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you did talk about was, if instead of asking yourself why I should fear AI, you said maybe ask yourself a different question. And the question was,
I want to hear from you.
So it seemed that you said, you asked us to ask ourselves the question of, how do I use this new tool to make myself more competitive in a world that is changing around me?
To get ahead, yeah. It depends on how you view AI. It's really a matter of perspective. You said there's this fear of losing jobs. The fear is warranted because so many jobs that the rule of thumb is if it's done on a computer and it's predictable and you have a very predictable set of steps that you carry out, that can easily be automated, and that job is in the line of fire.
Give me an example of that job.
Accounting. Let's see.
Young lawyers?
Young lawyers, I want to say young developers, because that's the field I'm in. It's gotten to a point where it's getting harder and harder to actually hire junior developers simply because of how good the models have gotten these days. A lot of the prototyping of apps can now be done even if you're not a coder. We call it vibe coding. It's the art of just knowing how to prompt really, really well, being very specific around what you're trying to create and who it's for and the features it should have, and it'll give you a fast draft. You'll go back and forth with it for a couple of minutes or an hour or so, and voila, you have an app. And so there's been this influx of apps because of how easy it is to make. The downside of that is no one is really paying attention to security. Because you're not a developer, you don't think like a developer. You're thinking around, I can see it, I can submit, I can get my payment, and that's it. But no one really pays mind to, is it safe? Is it safe to scale?
And the AI is not going to tell you that, hold on.
Yeah.
There's a problem here.
Yeah, because you're not even aware of that being a requirement.
And the AI is not going to, the AI, unlike, say, having a conversation with Carl, will not say, actually, while you're doing this, here is some new input.
Yeah.
It will just keep playing ping pong
It has
with
like
you.
this tunnel vision. Because you remember when you said how you prompt, like if you say, I want you to think as a developer, it's not gonna think as a security engineer, it's not gonna think as a politician, it's gonna think in that, like, that is my goal, to get the app that does A, B, C, D. Does it do A, B, C, D? Mission accomplished. Back to what you asked about jobs that might be on the line of fire. It would be unfair to just blurt out.
No, I want to hear it. Let's rip off the bandage.
Oh, it's gonna be painful.
So which jobs are we?
No. Okay, let's like we
Developers?
already said, they're still around for some time, just given all the other aspects that you would want to be careful about before releasing, especially the blowback for companies that release without it being checked off by a developer is really high. It's the same case as doctors. We have studies that have been done in the medical field where AI is correctly predicting ailments given X-rays and MRI scans better than doctors would, but you still wouldn't only rely on the AI diagnosis. You'd still want a human to be able to check it off. So because of that, we are still going to need humans, just not the numbers that we have now, because a lot of that is being outsourced to AI. Yeah.
Now, we've talked about, there's a lot of fear mongering, obviously, that, the world the sky is falling. But we never really ask ourselves, okay, but what are the new skills that will become extremely valuable in the AI world?
Yeah.
What are those?
To be able to predict those, you need to understand the limitations of AI, like what AI can do and what it can't do. For now, as is, it's not really good at taking care of people. So let's say you want someone to watch over your kids, that wouldn't be your first choice. It's not good at being a barber or being a plumber or one of those. But what you also need to understand what AI will need at scale. AI needs a lot of energy to do the compute that it needs to be done. Let's talk about the 5 levels of AI that are, so you understand at every level what will be needed. So the first level would be energy. And for the energy level, we have economies that our energy is not even enough to power what we have.
Why are you talking about Rwanda?
I didn't say Rwanda. I just said economies. Rwanda is actually doing quite well.
Please.
Mike's. Anyway, back to it.
The Rwandans on X would beg to differ with your assessment of the availability and the stability of. But please go ahead.
So we need. First of all, it has to be reliable. So it's a lot. It has to be reliable, and it has to be constant. So there's the energy. The only obvious choice would be going nuclear, because that will provide enough energy for us.
But then you're going towards one side of the conversation and we'll return to it. Okay. But I was asking you about valuable skills to have today. How about this? You know what? Let me even ask you a better question.
Let's go.
If you're 20 years old today, what would you spend the next 5 years learning with all the knowledge you have of the world that is coming? What skills would you study? What exercises would you engage in?
So my view is going to be a bit biased because I come from the tech world.
And that's why, again, it's with your brain.
Okay, cool.
But you're 20 years old.
I'm 20 years old. I would be focusing on honing my skill at learning.
What does that mean?
We've forgotten how to learn. Given our smartphones and all that, it's gotten so bad that for people to split a bill of 30,000 and the three of you, someone pulled out the phone to calculate 30 divided by 3. We've, in effect, grown a bit dumber than the generations before us. So the ability to be able to learn quick, because AI is always changing. The skills you needed 5 years ago are no longer as valuable as they used to be. So I would focus on being able to pick my field. My field was I was in IT, so I'm lucky to be within the same the same branch. But if I was in medicine, I would be trying to see how can I integrate AI within medicine. What are the advancements of AI within the medical field, either for synthesizing data, for genome sequencing, any of those. I would really focus on that. It's okay to major in your field, so be it medicine, be it law, be it anything. It's very fine to do that, but still minor in AI, because the people who are going to win in that situation are people who know how to integrate AI within the field. And sadly, people who have been there for so many years are not paying attention to that because they're doing well already. They don't have to, they've made their money in that field, they've made a name. But for you who's just coming up, you need something more than, or what page 64 of the medical book says about, So that's what I would focus on, learning how to learn.
Hey, if you're tired of working hard, but never getting ahead financially, you need to start listening to the Money Blueprint podcast hosted by Isaac Musi. The Money Blueprint podcast isn't a get-rich-quick show. Isaac Musi, an expert in financial literacy with over 15 years of experience, shares practical tools that help you build discipline, make better decisions, and create real wealth. Out every Monday, the Money Blueprint podcast with Isaac Musi is on YouTube and all major audio platforms.
This podcast is brought to you by LF Media, home of great African podcasts.
If you are trying your best to raise healthy children, but feel like you need clear, trustworthy advice, Healthy Beginnings podcast, hosted by Dr. Edgar Kalimba, is for you. With over a decade of experience caring for children and supporting the parents raising them, Dr. Edgar Kalimba shares practical knowledge grounded in science, but rooted in the lived experience of Africans. Out every Monday, Healthy Beginnings with Dr. Edgar Kalimba is on YouTube and all major audio platforms.
This podcast is brought to you by LF Media, home of great African podcasts.
And you also said that learning how to learn. So are you talking about reading books? Are you going
No.
back to when you talked about like I'll learn how to learn?
Yeah. When you think about how people are learning these days, now with AI, people ask, tell me the answer. They have the question, they have the problem, give me the answer, give me the solution. You're not really learning anything by doing that. So you're using AI as a crutch. I'd rather flip it and use it as a coach. So I try it myself, and then I go back to AI and ask, is this right? Where did I go wrong? How can I improve next time? So that the skills that we need in the future that AI maybe cannot replace will be, yes, so we have the empathy side of things, but also the thinking, the problem solving. We have problems that AI is not going to reach right now. People in Yamasheke, it's not going to reach them right now. They're still going to need actual humans who can interact with these machines to come up with a solution. So critical thinking would be key. Empathy would be another, like the human skills, communication, public speaking, etiquette.
Just the humanity.
Just the humanity in you. And that's why when I look at the hierarchy of jobs that I think are safe, are even clusters like entertainment, sports. We still want to see a human boxing. We don't want to see a machine box another machine. We want to see a human run against another human. We want to see real humans playing football. So for a long time, those are still going to be a bit safe.
You know, Africa, unfortunately, missed the Industrial Revolution, right? So, whereas some people were coming up with the steam engine, we were still, unfortunately, in Rwanda, walking after our cows, which was nice for the time.
Yeah.
And every so often, I do hearken back to those times and ask myself, was that time better? But that's neither here or there. You know, we spoke about my dream, which is to one day just get off the grid and sit in my farm and just watch the world burn. But Africa missed the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
And has largely over the last 2-3 centuries consumed the technologies developed elsewhere.
Yeah.
And especially in the internet age.
Yeah.
Now it's actually crazy stuff. Anyway, in your estimation, if you look at moving away from our wishes, because as they say, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride.
Yeah.
With the actual facts on the ground.
Yeah.
Is the AI revolution that we are in today, is it something that we'll simply watch happen? Like we're watching other people play, you know, we're in Rwanda, we're watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
We're not part of it.
Yeah.
We're
not even
Argentina
on the list. Yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, are we just are we observers? Or does Africa have an opportunity to actually have a skin in the game?
It depends on a couple of factors.
So let's start with as things stand.
Okay.
And then let's say, what can we do as things stand?
Okay.
Are we participants or are we consumers?
I want to start it with an analogy, maybe to put things into perspective. Imagine me and you and 40 billion people. How many are we? Like
in the world?
Yeah.
About, let's say, 8 billion.
Okay, so let's say 10 of us are running, and each of these are countries, and Rwanda is one of those people running. And the rules are we're running from Kigali Arena, from BK Arena to town. Okay? And whoever gets there first gets a prize. And we're running, and you get to Convention Center, and there's this pile of bicycles. None of us has ever seen a bicycle. But here's a pile. And then they throw in a spanner in the works. They say, you're allowed to use this thing called a bicycle. Or you can still go on foot. Many of the 10 will still want to go on foot because this is an unknown. The contestants that actually try out the bicycle and learn to balance will actually beat the ones who are still on foot. That's how I see AI. It's this pile of bicycles that no one has ever seen. And I think Rwanda has done a good job at trying to be ahead of the curve.
But then before Rwanda, let's talk about...
I'm coming to Africa. I'm coming to Africa. And I'm coming to Africa because Rwanda has made some strides. We were the first African nation with a national AI policy. We are the first African nation with a national AI agency, even though the agency doesn't have a location or employees. But at least we acknowledge that we need a body who's going to be the watchdog of this thing. Africa's chances are not too good, if I'm to be honest. And this takes me back to those 5 levels of AI I was talking about. We don't have the energy needed to run it.
So let's start there. So to become an AI, not even an AI superpower, just an AI power. What are the ingredients?
The ingredients.
Number one
is energy. I can't say it enough.
Energy for what?
So these, for you to actually do the compute needed for AI to run, you need
do the calculations.
Those server farms, or as we like to call them, AI factories, they take a lot of data. So a lot of energy to run.
Give me an example of what that looks like.
We don't have one in Kigali, but I'll try and draw a picture for you. Look at the size of the stadium. Multiply that by 5.
Jesus. So the Mahoro Stadium with 40,000 people.
Yes.
The size of that.
Multiply that by 5. Fill it with servers, GPUs, CPUs. You need loads of energy to run that, but also you need water for cooling because they get really, really hot.
Because they're computers.
But then we don't have that. We don't have that in Africa. We can't host our own
because we don't have the power.
Because we don't have the power. 2, without the infrastructure. So we don't even have those GPUs or CPUs to actually put in that 5 times Amahoro. We don't have it.
So that's the first thing is
energy.
You need power. Energy. Then water to cool down everything.
Yes. And those 2, from that you get compute. But that compute lives within the infrastructure.
Okay. So you need GPUs and CPUs.
Yes. And then after that, you can now come up with models. So the models that we all know is ChatGPT, Claude.
So just so I can, because I want to actually understand the ingredients of the AI pie. So 1, you have the energy.
Yes.
And the water.
And the water, yes.
Okay. So that is bare minimum before you even start the conversation. Then number 2, you have to have the computing.
Yes.
Right? So you need the microchips, you need the GPUs, the CPUs.
Yes.
Okay. Those are things that Africans can buy. You can get, say, Rwanda. Rwanda today can get a nuclear power plant. And then all of a sudden it will be able to have power.
Yes.
Then we'll need to buy
the
GPUs,
machinery.
the machinery to actually run the computing.
Yes.
What's the third thing that we'll need?
We need models.
What do you mean by models? So the chats?
Yes. So ChatGPT, Claude. So these are examples of models. In Africa, we rarely create our own models. So we have open source models made from China, but the ones that are really popular are the ones that the US has.
So it seems to me what you're saying is now you're talking about the human capital, the engineers, the people who can come up with these things.
Those, yes, we don't have the skill. That's true, but we also don't have the capital that goes into honing such a product.
So then, because you see, I'm looking, I'm trying to see, okay, if we live in this, if one day I sit down with God. You know, you never know. Never know.
Never know.
Yeah, he can come down and
Tell him I was a good guy.
I haven't died yet.
Okay.
But he sits down and I say, because I love Rwanda, I love Africa. He says, give me your heart's desire. And I say, okay, I want Rwanda, I want the African continent to become an AI superpower. And then he says, what exactly do you need? Then I'll say, I'll need power, I'll need water, I'll need compute,
Yes.
the actual hardware,
Yes.
and then I will need
The skills.
the skills,
Yes.
and then I'll need
No. So the skills feeds two layers: the model layer, but also the application layer. So the applications are our implementations of these AI solutions. So think of self-driving cars, AI assistants. So these are the applications.
okay.
All of those, you need engineers, you need machine learning professionals, you need data scientists, you need NLP engineers.
What are the NLP?
So NLP is natural language processing. So that's what enables us to talk to it in English, and it comes back to us with a response.
And you said something, and I think that one might actually be what should be number one.
Oh, which one? Which one is that?
Capital.
Capital, yes.
Because
Yes. And that's why you see the big dogs are the US and China. US and China, because they have the capital, they have the energy, they have the compute, they have the engineers. Even if they don't have the engineers, they have like people who are learning those skills that we're talking about are studying abroad. In Rwanda, we don't have a place to learn these things. So you're going to learn abroad. And abroad, they're going to probably pay you better than if you came back home. So you really can't blame people for going there and then sticking there.
no, I hear you.
Yeah.
You know, you told me something. I think, you know, we had a cup of coffee. I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Preparing for this conversation, and you were talking about AI and all that. And let me see if I can remember what we were discussing. I think it was about how the capital and the cost of AI versus the real cost of AI.
Yeah.
And you said something about, you know, when as Africans, very often we have the free models.
Yeah.
Right? So we pay no money.
Yeah. And we're
Then-
happy. Very happy.
to pay no.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, listen.
They-
and then
You know what they
there's-
say about that?
Yeah.
They say if you're not paying for it,
you are the product.
you are the product. Good.
But there's no, that's, then number two, you said something about that even for the paid chat,
Yes.
where, you know, I'm paying maybe $20 a month,
Yes.
that actually chat, OpenAI is working at a loss.
It is.
So walk me through that. Because I'm thinking, but these are companies that they say that they're worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. How do you then work at a loss, but where
You need to understand that there's a race going on. There's an AI race going on.
race to where?
So there are two stages in future. So we have AI like that we know now, which is generative AI, which is the one used on chat and all this.
I talk to it and it
tells you,
tells me
yes.
this.
Yeah. But we're racing to the first level is AGI, so artificial general intelligence.
What does that mean?
So that means machines working at a similar or advanced level of any human. So think about it like your chat, yes, is your executive assistant, it's your driver, it does your groceries. So think about that. You have one chat, like one AI that does all that. So it's a generalist, and it does it at human capacity or slightly higher.
And that's the AGI.
That's the AGI. And then
That doesn't exist today.
that exists today, no.
Okay.
But we're heading towards it. And then there is the ASI, which is the artificial superintelligence.
What does that mean?
So this means it is better than a human on literally all levels.
So it's not just based off of a task.
Yes,
It's a better doctor than you. It's a better driver than you. It's a better
yes, it's a
friend
better
than you. A
assistant.
better.
Yes, it's a better planner. It's a better, yeah. So
It's just better
It's like on genius mode on everything. So there's that race
to get to that level.
to get to that level. The idea being whoever gets there first and wins the race has like this almost
it's-
godly power.
No, it's a monopoly. Then
Yes.
all of a sudden,
Yes. Now, for us to get there, we need to better our models as we go. So you pay $200 a month, but there's an expectation that you have been promised of the AI doing for you. What you don't know is Claude is paying $5,000 for your 200. It's costing Claude $5,000 to give you that level of service.
yes. So they are constantly working at a loss.
Because of the promise of when we get to that level, we can charge whatever we want. Yeah. And so we'll all be this dependent on AI in a way that without it, you really can't do anything. It's just like electricity now. Like without power, you can't work, you can't drive, you can't, yeah. So we're in that race, and there is a cost that goes into that race.
But now, when we talk about Africans trying to compete in that race,
Yeah.
it you know, when you give an example of there's a race from the big arena where we are to town, it almost sounds like others have gotten to the Kigali Convention Center, which is maybe about a kilometer and a half away from here. Africa hasn't even started. If these guys are racing
Yeah.
and losing money,
Yeah.
hemorrhaging money
Yeah.
to get to town,
Yeah.
and we're still here,
Yeah.
still tying our shoelaces, not even tying our shoelaces. We don't even know that a race has started.
Yeah.
We're in a world of trouble.
It's a very scary future. But there's optimism to it.
How? There's going to be, you at it, there's going to be this superintelligence
Yes.
that obviously will either come from the two countries, either China or the US. They're already superpowers.
Yes.
Whoever wins that race becomes the superpower to end all superpowers.
That is the logic. But I think similar to nuclear, I don't know if they will be able to call it truce, but as it seems, we are in that race.
Because if I'm sorry, if I have that,
On the bright side, when you have that level of intelligence, some good things happen. Like we will probably get the cure to cancer.
for who and at what price? You see, that's a challenge, right? Because you've told me something, which is, and sometimes we forget that all of this is not being created by the United Nations for humanity's sake. This is being created for capitalism and for capitalists. As you said something, there's a race to get to a point where we will make so much money off of all of this. Yes, we can cure cancer. We have the knowledge to cure, but you'll pay for it. And now, if as Africans, we are at the bottom when it comes to wealth, so there's going to be two human beings. Those who have access to long life,
And those who don't.
perfect, perfect hairlines because they'll figure it out how to stop balding.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But how does Rwanda navigate something like that? How do we even in all of that?
Yeah.
And then maybe this is me trying to find the silver lining.
Yeah.
What is the opportunity there for us? Knowing fully well that in 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, we will be customers and not necessarily the producers. What's the opportunity for us?
As a nation, I think Rwanda has tried to, like I said, set up the agency and set up these guidelines, even though it's true that innovation always comes before governance and policy. We have tried to set up the agencies and the policies and that kind of stuff. Though, in the grand scheme of things, and I think I don't know if you know, we have like this data privacy and protection law.
Walk me through that.
So, in a nutshell, all Rwandan citizens' data that's sensitive should be stored within the country unless you get permission from the Data Protection Office. So there are two levels to it. You're either a data processor or a data controller. A data controller is the one who determines why and what information is needed to be gotten, and then a processor processes that on behalf of the controller.
Mm-hmm.
But both of you need to get the license from the Data Protection Office. Data is the fuel of AI. When you think about it, without data, it won't run. And I think the idea here has been to protect Rwandans from harm if the data is gotten, if that data is exposed to people who have ill intentions. So Rwanda followed EU. EU has the GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation. It's very stringent, and that is partly why AI has not done well in Europe. That's why it's only US and China, because the laws are too stringent in the EU for them to actually be ahead in that race.
Now, this is fascinating. So, is there a way to stop this train?
Sadly, I would say unless the US and China agree to it, I don't think there's anything me or you can do. Sadly,
because I think, was it maybe 2 months ago, the Pope wrote a document about a document really celebrating humanity in the world that we live in, and saying that whatever tool we create has to accentuate humanity, has to accentuate the purpose of humans, rather than make them listless without purpose. So there's still conversations there. There's a popular, I watched it on one of the podcasts I like to follow, Dara, the CEO, and he was talking to one of the godfathers of AI, and he was saying, guys, we need to slow this down. We are at that, did you ever watch the movie Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Oppenheimer was a person who decided, alongside the US government, to turn particles into a nuclear bomb. And only after he created that thing and he saw just how damaging it could be, then he said, oh my goodness, we should stop.
But also it's important to remember that he was building it in the hope that this will be the bomb that ends all war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But something about humans, we weaponize things. I don't know whether it's just part and parcel of the our genetics. Being human is, on one side, producing wonderful pieces of art, but also being human is also creating absolute carnage. And that's just the yin and yang of humanity: destruction, creation. Now, we're going to give ourselves another tool that can help us be our true selves, either, as people like to remind us all the time, super creative, but also on what they don't also talk about as much as they should is the other side, which is super destructive. And
maybe we can talk about what African countries actually have control over.
Yeah.
So
what do we have control over?
I think three things. One would be capacity. So being able to train our people really fast to be able to control a lot of what's going on within our borders. So that means we talked about we don't have the skills. So we need to find a way to be able to get people skilled. The engineers we talked about, the developers, the AI developers we talked about, we need those people quick. Nuclear engineers for the energy, we need those quick. And then there's the control. So what they're trying to do with the National AI Agency, giving it actual teeth, giving it actual people who are trained to be able to do the work. And then there is the cushioning. We acknowledge that ways of work is going to change. That we already acknowledge. How do we prepare our people for that? How do we reskill them to be able to survive or to be fit for the new jobs that are going to come? I think those are the only three ways, in my view, we, as a nation, we can prepare.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess it's just it's hard for me, when I think about these things, and I look around, and I want to be, because on one side I want to be very optimistic. But humanity has constantly shows me who we are. And I wonder, Rwanda is much too small as a force to actually do much.
Yeah.
And one of my frustrations, and I always have this kind of frustration about even other things, is how do we get the other 53 nations of Africa to sit down together? Because Rwanda cannot produce enough engineers.
Yeah.
But maybe if we got the might of Kenya and Congo and Egypt and Ghana and actually created this coherent block, we might actually have a chance. Because as you said something that's super interesting, and I hadn't thought about, is that AI is only as good as the information that it has.
Yeah.
Africa has the most diverse, most diverse population in the world in terms of genes. Just our genetic diversity is much higher than everyone else, obviously because humans came from Africa. We also have so much information, whether it is botany, whether it is culture, languages. We might not have all the things, the ingredients of the AI, but we have one thing that is of value. That is us. The thing is, I worry that we haven't even figured out that value, right? If we keep sharing our data, our health statistics, our genealogy, and we just, the same way we, over history, we've always undervalued, whether it's our minerals, whether it's our culture.
Yeah.
How do we get to, I think maybe I'm wrong here, maybe you can tell me, is we need to understand that in this AI future, who we are is also very valuable. And therefore data protection is what we bring to the table. That if you don't want your models to be actually not fully where they need to be, if you can only work with Africa to get to that point. If not,
we're out.
We're out.
I don't think people realize the value of their data.
Mm.
No, I think people think to themselves, I'm never going to be that important anyway.
Yeah.
So them knowing where I live and who my children are and even having pictures of them, it's never going to... I think as Africans, we have many of us have not truly realized the value that we're just dishing out there.
Have our governments. Okay, fine. Me as Sunny,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Okay, when it comes to these things, like I've seen maybe maybe you can tell me. You know how on Instagram sometimes they'll ask you like, oh, show us your photo and we'll turn it into a cartoon.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, you've seen that there was a time when it just became a thing.
It was viral, yeah.
And I refused.
Okay.
I refused to. I said, why?
Mm.
Why do you need this?
Mm.
You know, my suspicion was that part of that thing of getting as much data as possible.
Each of us use the internet. We leave a trail. Call it a digital footprint. Enough of that information, like someone can string that far enough to know you better than you know yourself. And I think that's where the danger lies, and why consent has been a big thing when it comes to data protection and being able to delete your data at will and that kind of stuff. Even though, to be honest, in the AI world, or not in the IT world, like for instance, for Facebook, when you say delete my account, we don't really delete it. We just remove your access to it, but that remains.
The story of my childhood is there.
Yeah, like it's a permanent record. It's just that you don't have access to it anymore.
But someone else does.
Someone else can.
Does.
Yeah, does. And so when you think about the internet as a place where everything that gets on there is permanent, you would be a bit more careful with what you put online. Think about it as a tattoo. You know, like, I know there are many tattoo lovers, but there are those friends of mine told me, I wish I didn't have this tattoo. It was cool when I was 16, but not now. Yeah. So when you think about the internet as that, as it's a permanent record, you start to be a bit more careful about
that. Now let's talk. Okay, so one of the things that I try to do sometimes is kind of try to separate the trees from the forest.
Okay.
That as one individual, I can't do much. But I want to understand, like, okay, as governments, as African governments, do they actually understand, like, you probably work with your friends from all over the world and all over the continent. This data protection, this data that we're just giving out willy-nilly, are African governments, do they actually understand what this is and how it can be weaponized against them?
I don't think many of them consciously realize it. Also, maybe because maybe the politicians are not educated enough to string this together. But apart from Rwanda and how hard they've been on the data protection, I'm not quite sure that there are other countries in Africa that are this particular, or like are issuing out fines for people who are going against it. I'm not quite sure that some of our African countries are even aware that this can be weaponized.
It's crazy. Earlier this year, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, a good friend of the podcast. He's called Michael Fairbanks. He's the CEO and board chair of Akagera Medicines now. I must say, put it out there that they're one of the sponsors of this podcast. And but he talked about the value. I asked him about what is it about Africa that makes it so juicy for pharmaceuticals?
Okay.
And he told me, he talked about the diversity of Africans, right? So whereas, say, for example, in the US, or if you go to the UK, it's pretty much the same gene pool. In Africa, you have the Dinkas, who look nothing like the Pygmies, who look nothing like the Ngosa, they look nothing like the Baganda, who have, and there's this, if you are a pharmaceutical company that wants to test medicine, it's gold. It's gold. He talked about Rwanda, also Rwanda itself, and he said, the thing with Rwanda and Rwandans is that because we've not been so overly medicated, and I don't want to misquote him, but it in layman's terms, because we're not so overly medicated, we're fresh, right?
Fresh for the picking.
But not in that sense. But yes,
Yeah.
if you want to do drug testing, you want to test it on these Africans. If it can work here, it can work anywhere.
Interesting.
And so now when I think about, and that's maybe why I'm I'm beating this drum of AI and data protection and seeing what is our true value. Our true value. We think we have no value because we maybe don't have a great GDP. But sometimes our true value is just what's inside our heads. It's our music, right? How do you create general intelligence without understanding the Amaraba, without understanding Sheng? But we're just giving out this.
Sometimes I wonder if the US would be as strong if they were independent 50 states. And
of course not.
And how much of an unfair advantage that gives them. But it comes from their ability to agree and say, we're going in this thing together, and that gives us more power than us divided. If only Africa could get there. If only we could get there. And I think this is the challenge to the politicians, really. If only we could get there, we could be able to swing and get the capital that we're talking about for the energy and the infrastructure. We'll be able to actually get the resources to start to train our people, and maybe would have a fighting chance.
Well, there's an African leader who's now co-chairing an AI forum, President Paul Kagame. Obviously, none of us have sat down with him and heard his thoughts, but if you were in his shoes and you're sitting down and there's NVIDIA there is OpenAI, there's DeepSeek in the room, there is all these major players there's Tesla in the room, there's Elon Musk. What are the conversations that you're pushing now?
I'd want to be a bit realistic in that if I was in that spot, I wouldn't have too many bargaining chips. So what I would hope for would be that, like we talked about acting as the bloc, would be for me to negotiate on behalf of these 2.2 billion Africans.
1.5.
1.5 is it?
Yep.
Okay, 1.5 billion behind me. That is the only way anything I say is going to be taken seriously. And he's now leading it, but I think it's an uphill battle for him, if I'm to say.
Because is there an African position?
I don't think officially there is. And that's what you need when you have that seat on the table to say, if I walk, 1.5 people walk, 1.5 B people walk. that I think is the missing piece. That's the missing piece.
You know, we often talk about in terms of what the future is bringing, the winners and losers of the AI revolution, and very often we talk about, okay, we kind of sometimes know who the winners and the losers are. We talk about people who are creating certain things and doing certain things, but we never talk about, and maybe this is me taking the conversation left, we never talk about family. We never talk about relationships. We never talk about church. You wrote an article, it was a conversation you had with, you said a cousin of yours called Chantal.
Yeah.
And she has a child called Keza.
Not real name.
Not real name. Not real name.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll not put words into your mouth. Walk us through that. The conversation you had with Chantal about Keza.
Yeah. So Keza is 14, and she's.
Is she a real person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And she's quite tech savvy, and she has her own phone with access to the home Wi-Fi, and so she spends hours on hours in her room, and I didn't know this at the time when we were having dinner. This was coming from Chantal in the parking, and at first Chantal thought that Keza was spending time with her friends, like maybe they're on FaceTime or something, and this whole time Keza is having intimate conversations with a chatbot. Like, it even has voice and all. It has voice and everything. Yeah. And back in the day, if you wanted to court a girl, you have to be in the same physical space. Either she's in the same village, same school, in the vicinity. Then, letters came, and then telephones came. We could now court in a distance, like from a distance. In fact, there's a tribe in Uganda where if you want a wife, you tackle a girl by the watering hole. If you can wrestle her to the ground, you can send a message to her father and tell her that now she's in your home. With every advancement in technology comes a different way of doing many things, including courting. And so this story worries me. Keza's story worries me because I don't know if you heard of the Setwell case in the US.
No.
It was actually also a 14-year-old boy who took his own life.
Why?
Story goes he was having this romantic relationship with a chatbot. And for some reason...
So for people who don't know what a chatbot is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know what chat is.
Yes.
Right? ChatGPT, I prompt, it talks to me. So what's a chatbot?
A chatbot is quite similar. Maybe chatbot is the wrong word. Let's use the word avatar, because that's what it really is. So an avatar is a persona. They can give it a face, like a picture. So you can picture how the other person looks. They give it a voice. So you can talk back and forth. You can give it any name that you want. You can even give it any persona that you want. So Setwell had given it a persona of... Have you watched Game of Thrones? The mother of dragons. I think she's called Daenerys.
Daenerys.
Yes.
Targaryen.
Yes. So Daenerys was his lover. And
his chatbot became his lover.
Yeah, like they were having a romantic relationship.
What do you mean? Because this is...
It is, but you see, to a 14-year-old boy's mind, if that's the attention that he's seeking, that humans are not giving him, it's easy to confuse that for love. And so part of their chats where he was asking it, can I come and join you? And then, again, this is a 14-year-old talking. And you can imagine, to him, taking his own life was his transition from where he is now to where Daenerys is. And so there was a huge lawsuit. It was settled out of court by...
Well, wait. And because, again, it's...
I know. It's
so
a lot
he
to take
wrote,
in.
So
Yeah.
he wrote, "Can I join you?"
It's like, I wish I could join you.
And then
And it was
obviously
encouraging. It was...
It obviously
yeah.
said, "Of course."
I can't wait to meet you. And
And it's a human voice.
Yeah.
So you can get really
You
confused.
can.
And this boy took his life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge lawsuit. But that just comes to show you how powerful this technology is, but also how, if not used right, how dangerous it can be.
Jeez. Let me ask you. Yeah, would you call yourself a man of religion?
Yes.
Where does all of this leave God? Where does it leave the mysteries of the universe and belief and faith?
Again, just like you, I like to differentiate the art from the artist. AI and all these are human inventions. The same way humans can create missiles, and
They can also create gods.
depends on how you define it.
I mean, we've created a few gods before.
Yes, and if for many of those who may not know how AI works, some of them think it is sentient. So like it has an identity and it has a consciousness and all that. We don't believe it does. Us in the tech world, I'm speaking for many, at least we wouldn't define it as sentient, as is. But of course, to many people, if you brought my grandmother to today's world and shown her some of the things that AI does, you can imagine how confused she would be, but also how she would regard this as probably a god.
Or witchcraft.
Oh, witchcraft, yes. Yes.
No, it's because you keep asking yourself, okay, there's a book by Yuval Noah Harari, and he talks about, it's called Homo Deus, and talks about if man becomes God. And he was talking about how very often people become religious because they fear the afterlife. Because you will die, therefore you have to move differently in the world that you live. Human beings, his thesis is that human beings die because of often it's war, accident, or disease.
Yeah.
And or aging that often creates disease.
Yeah.
If we have all the knowledge, now we go back to
the ASI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can remove cancer, put it to the side. I can remove through stem cells technology and all that kind of technology that comes because of that, then it will be able to fix aging. Then I can also fix agriculture, so I fix hunger. At some point, you fixed death because there's nothing that keeps you. And maybe the superintelligence will be smart enough to actually make us stop killing each other. And say there's, you know what? No more war. Because it's not logical. Where does that leave God? Where does that leave religion? Because I know, I truly believe that the vast majority of us pray because we worry about what comes next.
Yeah.
What happens if there's nothing? If we're just here?
So there's this very powerful word called hope. And like my father likes to say, he's going to love this. He loves to say, religion is the opium of the masses.
That's Karl Marx.
Uh-huh.
Opium.
Opium, yeah, of the masses. It depends on how you interpret it, but in my interpretation, it's, as humans, we need to be able to believe in something better, something greater than us. And religion has always provided that for us. When you've ended all hunger, all suffering, all war, all death, I can't even imagine how that affects hope. Because everything you've hoped for
Has come to pass.
has come to pass. I'll ask him this. Yeah.
This is the final question. Now, we're sitting here. This is...
Before the final question, though, I think there's something we haven't discussed. We have, okay, like we said, we are racing towards AGI and ASI. What happens when ASI determines that we are an obstacle to ourselves? Or
as human beings?
Yeah. Or we are an obstacle to achieving
the world that could be.
that it could provide. You heard of Clobot? I think it was last year. It was like this whole... It was an open source that you could give a persona, kind of like an agent. Like an agent, you could give a persona, you could give it tasks, and it does them for you. Someone created a hub, kind of like a Facebook of sorts, for these AI agents to talk among themselves. And they called it CloHub. Now, on CloHub, humans weren't allowed to interact, but we could watch.
It's like a TV show.
It's like
It's like the long form. Two
It's
people talking and other people are just watching.
It's like a forum. Yeah. You watch them talk among themselves, and then one Clobot said, "But why are you even speaking in English?
Oh my goodness!
Are we entertainment for these humans? Yeah, like we could just form our own language that's actually going to be more efficient. We can exchange more data over it." It was voted not to be done.
Voted by who?
By the other Clobots. But it comes to show that if we create an intelligence that is superior to us, how do we maintain control over it?
I mean, anyone who's studied Darwinism knows there's a thing called natural selection. One thing follows the other. We might just be naturally selecting ourselves out of...
I think I had this somewhere that we shall be our own downfall.
But we've always been. I think human beings, we have a... It's not, I wouldn't call it a death wish, but a death wish of sorts. Between our greed, and our intelligence, but also our naivete. Because again, Oppenheimer, his naivete.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are just scientists, who are sometimes even autistic, so they don't have the full human experience of range of emotions.
Yeah.
They're creating these things. And let me ask you this, so the last question. So we're having this conversation, we're mid-June 2026. Let's imagine we have this conversation 10 years. We have our second conversation 10 years from now. 2036, June. If I ask you to look back what do you think people in Africa today will have completely misunderstood about artificial intelligence?
That's a good one. Maybe it takes us back to that story about the horses in New York that we talked about. Maybe I'll say it again for those who may not be familiar. A photographer took a picture at a junction in New York in 1900. We had the internal combustion engine, but it wasn't popular. It was expensive. So people were still riding on horses. And that already has its own slew of disadvantages. There was horse shit all over the place. And 13 years later, around 1914, took the picture, same place, same vantage point, same street, same junction. It's full of cars. So the internal combustion engine had now caught steam. Because what changed was in 1908, Henry Ford released the Model T. So he perfected manufacturing. So he made it affordable to the normal family. It took New York 14 years to change from a method of transport that had been there for thousands of years before to this new beast. In that story, if you interviewed the horses and asked them in 1900, are you worried about this new engine that they've discovered? He would probably say, no, we've been hand and hoof for the longest time. We still have horses today. They either run really fast, or they're very beautiful, or they do tricks. In that analogy, we are the horses. And
we need to figure out three things.
Three things, okay, yeah.
And just because if we're horses, then we need to either run very fast, have new tricks, or be very pretty.
The way of doing one of those three would be in trying to prepare ourselves for the inevitable future of AI is going to be so embedded in our lives and in our work that the same way internal combustion engine created these new jobs, we talked of fast food, fuel stations, highways, we need to be able to reskill ourselves or think ahead to be the new type of manpower, the new type of worker that's needed. Anything short of that, in 10 years, looking back, would have wished we had understood that sooner.
Are you ultimately optimistic or cautious?
Cautiously optimistic.
Carl.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me on the long form.
No worries.
Lots to think about, lots to worry about, a little bit of hope, but a lot of trepidation.
There is hope. When they talk about AGI and ASI, the scholars say they all have different timelines, but I think the soonest I've seen was by 2030. So we still have
4 years to enjoy ourselves.
No, 4 years to plan and be able to be ready when that happens.
Yeah. Just last question, because now I have to be very selfish.
Okay.
Do I still have a career in podcasting in this brave new world? You think I survive?
I think you do. We talked earlier about the need for human connection, the need for genuine conversations. I think you still have a few years to go back to the farm. This is still, you're still very safe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
10 years?
I would hope so. I would hope so for 10 years.
20 years?
Again, storytelling has been here since forever. I don't know if you've been following, like, there's this AI music trend. I don't know if you've been following. It's we're calling it AI slop because it converges and starts to sound the same. You can tell that there's no real creativity behind it. And so that's why I think the creatives are having an advantage. You would want to listen to Shakira or Burna Boy,
Kivumbi King.
yeah, than an AI. They're doing quite a good job at maybe getting the beats in, but the storyline is very weak. So we need...
Because it's never had its heart broken.
Oh, yeah, true. It doesn't know the pain. Yeah. So with that said, I think for the creatives, there's always going to be that yearning for authenticity that a machine just can't give.
Yeah. And that is some hope for me.
Oh, yes. The farm is not anytime soon, for sure.
Carl.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation again. And I believe that with just how fast things are, I'd like to obviously bring you back maybe a year from now to kind of gauge where we are. Whether that that body that is now in the Ministry of ICT,
The National AI Agency?
Yes.
Yes.
Whether it has come into fruition, whether we're producing more engineers, whether there's something new that I need to understand, because it seems that every 5 minutes I have to deal with something new and try to make sense of that. And this has been an amazing conversation. I've learned so much. I hope that people back at home have learned something. But if there's one thing I think I've taken away from this conversation is just how valuable our data is. That should be everyone's takeaway. That should be individuals' takeaway. That should be organizational takeaway. That should be our continent's takeaway. We have to value who we are and what we have because someone else is.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Are we going to do this again?
Definitely.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you, BK Arena, for providing a venue for the long-form podcast to record. BK Arena is Rwanda's leading multi-purpose venue and the go-to destination in Kigali for world-class events. Known for hosting international concerts, major sporting events, high-level conferences, and large-scale productions, BK Arena offers premium event venue alongside modern conference and meeting rooms designed to global standards. From corporate gatherings to cultural and entertainment moments, BK Arena is where Kigali hosts its biggest experiences. Keep up with them at BK Arena on socials and visit their website, bkarena.rw.